Now, many online gurus out there will teach you how can you create more passive income with no money at all. I'm here to tell you that one, it might be true, but it might be a lie. And how do we know the difference? How do we know who's actually lying, who's actually telling the truth? Is this all just selling you something? I want to clear this once and for all, clear the air of how you can actually make this worth. How can you actually create money without money? In fact, in ways that I've done it myself, that you could also do for yourself too. And by the way, tune in because I'm going to share my very favorite strategy at the very end that I've used that's made me the most money. Okay, so let me just dispel the myth once and for all. If someone says you're gonna create passive income by doing this new Amazon dropship business, so they're gonna tell you like you can make money with almost no money, like $200 or $2,000, they made $1 million in real estate. For the most part, they're giving you a bunch of BS, all right? I'm just gonna be upfront. I know a lot of these guys out there, and the truth is there's a lot more in between. If you don't have money to make money, right? If you don't have that, you've got to exchange something else, which is time and energy. And yes, it does require time and energy. Those guys that had $2,000 to make $1 million put a lot of time and energy to create that $1 million. Now, did they do it better than a lot of people? Yes, of course. I'm not taking that away from them. What they did was impressive. But do not for one moment think that when you see influencers out there telling you that, oh yes, you can do nothing, you can sit on your freaking behind, and for somehow, some way, you're gonna make millions of dollars. That's just not the case, all right? So understand that if you don't have the money, it's gonna require some time and energy involved. The question is how can you leverage that time and energy more wisely? That's what I wanna get into with some of these ideas for you. All right, so the first and foremost is that, again, like if you don't have a lot of money, I actually think you should get to the point where you have more money, right? It does help if you have money. Money can actually amplify whatever you're working on here, even if it's trying to create that passive income with no money. By the way, just so you know, like I explained, if you're investing time and energy, it ain't passive, right? But if you start to build more cash, more money allows you to create more passive and frees up more time for you to do so. So start tracking your money, limit your spending. And I don't say live on rice and beans. I'm not saying live in a cardboard box. That's not what I'm talking about. You can still enjoy your life. But one, start tracking your money. That's what wise stewards do with their money. The savers, I mean, yeah, they're great, but they always hyper focus on the money they're spending. But at the same time, you should also focus on the money you're making. So try to figure out how can I have more money coming in than what's going out, and make that bigger. And it could also be making more money, right? But also really track your spending, track your expenses, see what's going on there, track your income coming in so you know exactly how much is coming in, how much is going out, and then from that money, use that to go and invest in your ventures, especially if you're doing it in business. If you're doing a business venture, having more cash on hand gives you more options. It allows you to do more things faster, giving you a bigger leg up than the other person that's just flat broke, trying to just hustle and scramble for their money. All right, so once you've done that, right? So now you're starting to realize you're building up cash, and then you can now use that cash to then invest. And by the way, that cash can be invested in business. That cash could also be invested in other things that create passive income, like real estate investing or whatnot. And by the way, just so you know, if you're talking about doing real estate investing, wait till you get at least 150,000 before you even worry about creating passive income with your money there. But if you're exchanging time and energy, you can do things for less. So here's some things you can do. Here's the first one I would say you could do is a side hustle. A side hustle does require time and energy. Now, you might be an independent contractor, you might be freelancing and doing some stuff, right? You might be doing some things to help kind of create some money on the side. That's great, especially if it ties with your interests or passions, even better. If you got a skill set, even better. Let me give you just a bonus here. One thing I've learned about, because money used to be hard for me to make, money used to be seem mysterious to me. I remember the first several years I was a financial advisor, I actually struggled. I worked a lot of hours to make what felt like a very little payoff in comparison. But when I realized that there's a key principle that allowed me to make more money than anything, it was this, is that dollars follow value. Dollars follow the value you create for other people. So instead of asking, how do I make more money? Ask instead, how can I create more value for more people? How do I create that win-win to where money is just a natural exchange and byproduct for that service rendered, whatever it is that you're going to promise to give or have given? That's the key. How do I solve problems? How do I serve people in such a way that money will just come back to me? Once I started focusing on that and even asking for that money in return, money came in much more easily. When you're doing a side hustle, the thing you have to always be asking is, what is it that I have to offer with this side hustle instead of just being a commodity, not just being like every other person. For example, if you do photography, you don't want to just be the one person that says, I take pictures, right? It does you no good, right? Because there's so many photographers out there, and if you put yourself on that level, they're going to usually go for the cheapest price. Instead, you might change to say, no, I don't do photography. I create memories that last a lifetime or even generations. I create emotion in people. Like I get something where they feel something. I get people that feel like they're amazing, confident, or sexy, or whatever it might be. You start throwing in like the things of the emotions that go with it, and now you're no longer a photographer. You're someone that creates an amazing amount of value for someone that don't want to get rid of. They have to have it in their life because they know that if they give you money for it, they're getting something in their life much better than just the dollars burning a hole in their pocket. They want whatever it is you have to have. So you've got to find what makes you unique, what you really offer that others really want. And it's not just the service or product that you're selling. That's a key. So when you're doing a side hustle, remember that. It's not just about setting up the business. It's not even about having the prettiest website. No one gives a crap about your website that much. Unless you're a photographer, then they might want to see at least some photos, right? But they don't really give a crap about what kind of fonts or colors you're using. What they care about is, can you deliver what I'm looking for? And often if you can speak the right message to them, you can do that. So if you're going to side hustle, it might be a great investment for you to invest in how do I be a better marketer? How do I be a better salesperson to offer that unique value? Because until then, offering those services probably won't get you very far. You'll get some friends and family using you, and then the next thing you know, you're making no money. So find out what it is that makes you unique and use that in your side hustle. You'll make money not just faster, but that side hustle might become a main hustle for you as a result. All right, next point is stop investing in your work retirement accounts. That 401k or that IRA that they tell you to put that money into and you sock it away for the next 40 years and then hopefully someday you have something. If you want a real life, if you want a life better than the average, if you don't want an ordinary life, you have to do extraordinary things. And that requires you to not do the ordinary thing of throw your money away into stupid 401ks and plans where you can't do anything with the money anyways. What if you could use that money to invest in you? Now, business owners, they get this the most because business owners say, why would I go invest in a 401k with all these other stocks and companies that have no control when I could put that money in my own business and make more money? This became apparent to me actually when I went to talk to one of my family members. So he came from a family of a guy that was very successful, had a lot of dealerships in the state of Utah. And so I knew if I got in as a financial advisor with him and his family, I'd be set for life. I would have like the family I could just service and I would more than get paid for that kind of work. Well, I went to go talk to this family member and I sat down with him, wore my best suit at the time because financial advisors have to wear suits to make themselves feel better. And then on top of that, I brought the best guy from my office to back me up. And I even prepared for hours on a presentation to teach him how mutual funds are the way to go for building long-term wealth. So I sat down with him. I gave him my whole spiel. And he says, Chris, that was a great presentation. Let me get this straight. You're saying if I put $10,000 with you today, you might be able to make me 12% in the next year. And I said, well, there's no guarantees, but yeah, it could happen. He said, okay, great. Well, that means you make $1,200 in the year. But Chris, I can take that same $10,000, put that as a down payment on a semi-truck in our auto dealership, and make $20,000 in a couple months in profit. So why would I invest my money with you? Because you should be diversified. You should put all your eggs in that one basket, which is ironic. I was telling him not to invest in his business when I had a business myself as a financial advisor, right? That's the key, is that instead of putting your money and putting it out of your control and set it and forget it and put it out of your way where you can't make any money with it, you just hope and pray the market works in your favor that time, even though it might not work the next time. Instead, take that money in your control and then use that into that side hustle or use it into the investments that you'd rather do anyways that could actually generate income for you right now. That is what you can actually do with your retirement accounts, not just lock it away, set it and forget it, and keep it in prison forever. All right, as promised, here's the big thing. How do you make money with no money at all? How can you invest in this way when you have no money? If you don't have financial capital, you can use your own human capital, right? Human capital can actually work. Relationships is a big one. I've mentioned in some videos talking about like affiliate relationships. I figured this out accidentally back in 2006 because when I was a mortgage broker, I didn't want to have to do all the mortgages. I would refer to a guy that was the nerd, paperwork nerd, right? I would let him do all the work. I would just send him the people. So that relationship connection, I was able to get paid on that. Of course, I had a license to do so, but I was able to connect him to let him do all the work, but then I would split it 50-50 with him. He didn't care because he didn't have to go find any new clients. I was happy because I didn't have to do any paperwork. And as a result, we had a great partnership that worked in our favor. You might be able to have some kind of partnership like that. It could be a literal partnership in a business, or It could also be something like where you're doing an affiliate referral, where you refer to somebody and they pay you like a marketing referral fee back. Now, you have to be careful because you got to make sure that things are legal and legit, but there are a lot of businesses that will offer kickbacks or referral fees for getting those referrals. You can make good money from being a good referral source. Heck, come on, this is how a lot of YouTubers, not me yet, but hey, there's a lot of YouTubers out there and influencers that make money just from doing that very same thing. You can use it as well, and you don't have to have 1 million followers. It could be just a few people. I was making a few $1,000s a month with just friends and family, right? Because they would say, hey, I'm looking for blank, and I would connect them with blank. I'd say, here's a good person I trust, use them. And then if I had an agreement with that person, not always did I do that, but if I did, if it was often enough that I would refer to them, they would pay me money. And so having that relationship capital is awesome. And by the way, it's not just about relationships. When I talk about human capital, things come from your mind too. What ideas do you have that can be turned into money? How can you use those ideas to work in your favor? I talk about a lot of times in business, like can you create some kind of online program or something like that that you create once and then it's there. It's just like a music singer that goes and produces a CD and then can sell that music for eternity. People that write books can do the same thing. You create, online programs, you can do the same thing. You create memberships and do the same thing. There's people that have $7 a month memberships to say, hey, I'll send you an email a week or a month, my little expert email, and then they get paid thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars every month from people that just pay a few dollars a month, right? You can do those kind of things to generate income where you're not having to work so hard for that money, especially when you're trying to exchange dollars for hours. Don't do that. Instead of exchanging hours for dollars, right? You actually exchange value for dollars. And by the way, here's another thing. I won't go into deep on this one, but using your credit. You can actually become a credit partner, especially in the real estate game. Become a credit partner and potentially even get paid for using that. What if you end up helping buy a property that somebody said, I'm going to use your credit, but I'll pay you a higher fee. I'll pay you a higher cost than what you're paying on that mortgage. I'll pay you extra. You have no money out of pocket potentially, but they're paying you extra money. You can make money off your credit. I've even had people that done that to help them qualify for loans and things of that nature. Again, a lot of details there, but there are ways to potentially use your credit to improve your cash flow situation and or even earn money. So those are the kind of things that you can do, again, with no money out of pocket, but can generate a lot of great income for you. Now, if you're in a situation where you say, Chris, I love this. I want to make money without money, but I actually have some money I could do something with. What do I do? You know what? There's a great masterclass. You can go to our Max ROI Infinite Banking YouTube channel. There's a great class. If you go under live, you'll see some great information about how to do that, how to get your money to pay you so that you don't have to work so hard for it. You can make more money and get it working harder for you. Check that out right here in the description below.